Hello and welcome to this Glasgow City Council Technical Teachers Pencil Rendering demonstration, seminar, chat, looking at this particular outcome and how we created that using an Apple Pencil and iPad Pro. Techniques are very similar to what we've shown you earlier on in the previous two videos, and we'll just run through this and show you subtle differences as we go. Just going to zoom in on that top left hand corner and hopefully build up the wood grain pattern using the tip of the pencil, the side of the tip of the pencil, working to one side, exactly as we did on paper earlier. And if I can cut in a minute, I'm going to try and show you the actual physical movement of the pencil and the tip, because what you're seeing here is the result on screen. Now the result is instant, it's instant feedback on the way through, so it's very responsive, but the movements of the brown, then the orange and then the yellow can be better seen if I just edit in a second view showing the pencil at work on the screen itself. Most of it will be in this format, but just for a minute or two, let's have a look and see what happens when we take a rectangle here and using the side of the tip of the pencil, it's a little bit ahead of the other drawing there, you can see the side of the tip of the pencil being used to put that graduated area in. And where necessary, choosing a different colour from the on-screen palette, so it's a direct touch response palette, you can pick up the orange and then warming that up. And I think the main drawing on the left hand side is maybe a little bit behind where we are, maybe slightly ahead now. Done two different sessions, so filmed at different times. So the technique is exactly the same. I've just fired in what looks like an instant red there, but what's happened is I've actually drawn lines and shapes to create on top of the drawing the new shape we're going to look at. If you have a look at the close-up now, it's the sensitivity of these pencils is quite phenomenal really, because not only can you vary the width of the line through pressure, the density of the colour through pressure, but the side of the pencil can be used very much like a traditional pencil. In fact, you can set parameters up so you can vary the amount of wash or bleed or overlap you can get from those side surfaces. So holding A, B and sketching pencil, the rendering pencil techniques that we've talked about before in Get a Grip Graphics work exactly the same on that modern technology. So taking that second shape, put a little bit brown in the background using the tip of the pencil, we put some very fine lines in, maybe close to a hardwood. I know nothing actually looks like this, but that's my fakey teak, for want of a better phrase, using the side of the tip of the pencil. And again, we're seeing the response, we're not seeing the pencil itself, and you see the screen recording here. It's building up density of that colour, it is gradually getting darker and darker, and in most cases you start light and go dark. It's kind of difficult to go lighter. One of the advantages of the digital side is you can undo and you can take a layer and increase the opacity so it's not quite as dense. Taking the shape for the top, which is being drawn around again, full of colour, light blue this time. Remember, starting light to give a cylindrical idea, darker on the right hand side traditionally, and everything I've been doing anyway, lights comes in from the top left. A little fake horizon reflective bar down the centre there to give it a little bit more of a gloss shine to the end result. If there's a candle going in there, we'd have to draw the outline as maybe four lines or maybe two shapes. Drop some colour in using the software, but then using the side of the tip of the pencil, working within that space. And you can set alpha channels and various other bits and pieces to work so there's no bleed over into the space round about, but using very much the same technique. So choose the red, then go into your colour palette, pull the darkness down a little bit, then go inside the pencil and you can build that up. Ideally you can do it in a separate layer, so you can vary that. Once it's on, you can decide to pull it back and forward, and some drawings can have up to 70-80 layers. For kids, that's a big ask, so keeping it simple. A little touch of white on the left hand side and on a slight reflective band towards the middle, and maybe a wee highlight on the join between the cylinder and the cone at the top. Rectangles overdrawn on top for the base using a black pencil, put some colour in, and depending on what you want that to look like, if it's flat or curved in any way, you change the density of the colour on the side. One big advantage you've just probably seen pop in there this now is the use of highlights, and with this application you actually get a luminescent pen, so you can actually put a bright reflective colour on it. Bottom left hand side, you can see the lines being used to build up that shape on top of the existing drawing. So the drawing is where the sketch hand, freehand sketching is where all the design works happened before. Then using the circle tool, dropping some colour into the enclosed space. It's got to be an enclosed space, otherwise colour leaks out. I think we've all come across that problem before. Get rid of some extra lines, contrasting red and green, and that is a very bright green. And maybe we can put some grain onto the red. This is not a wood grain, this would be this stained, in this case a very strong stain on a fairly close grain timber to see the grain coming through there. Using the side of the tip of the pencil again, lines closer together, so the last two have been a bit more of a hard woody type look. The green area would be set back, it's like a fin stuck into the side of the red material, so maybe a little bit of a shadow being cast, so that green will be a little bit darker towards the joining area between the two. It's holding a pencil, so there's the area going in, just highlight going on the left hand side, dark shades on the right hand side, and even those little curves, those little holes there are given a highlight, little C shape cupping from 7 minutes past to 7 o'clock. That's the break off point between highlight and shadow for outies and innies, things that stick out, things that appear to go in the way, depending on where you add the shadow, where you add the highlight. With having layers, it's possible just to fire a little bit of airbrush work at the back there just to contrast it. I mean, you can see I'm trying a few at the top there, maybe not that successfully. You can actually get patterns within that as well, so you could put a texture, the appearance of a textured background using this technique. Coming on to the drawing towards the top right now, draw the lines, make the shape, float some colour in. Then let's just use the pencil again to get some green in. And the idea is I'm trying to show transfer of a very similar skill between well, let's face it, £1, £1.50 for pencil and paper. This is going to cost you the best part of £1,000. Software, hardware, and the pencil alone is £100. It's very expensive. It will come down in price, but it's the nearest thing I've come across to actually physically drawing. And it's a transferable skill, which I find is the best. I've tried all sorts of different tablets and touchscreen devices, but for me this is the one that seems to be the most intuitive. And the application Procreate is only available on the iPad at the moment. No doubt there'll be other applications that do things similar. Go on user groups, have a look, see what people are creating in these things. So while I've been blithering away there, the green things appeared at the top, yellow piece of acrylic maybe come out the side, and a shadow underneath that yellow piece to suggest that it's sticking out further, coming towards us more than the green surface itself. Contrasting green and red, proper little red pencil on the top there, and a little bit of shadow on the right hand side. Highlights, well, there's that little pencil coming in again on the left hand side, just picking up a little bit on the pencil on that midpoint or left of midpoint for the cylinder, and down the edge. Basically, the closer a highlight is to the edge, the sharper the corner will be. If the highlight is set back from the edge, it's suggestive of a more curved profile. Tools you have, you can pick up different textures and patterns on tools, so that's why that grid's appeared underneath, for nothing other than to show you that there are other tools available. The arch one now, in the previous version of this, when we rendered it by hand, it was a sphere with a hemisphere, sorry, a cylinder with a hemisphere on top, so we call that a dome. In this case, I've created the shape, dropped some colour in, both for the feet and the base and the object itself. But I'd like to try and make it look more like an arched prism rather than a dome on the top. We put a little bit of shades, those C shapes, those cylinders down there to show the overhang. It's something that's really, really simple, really handy. And we'll maybe see a bit more when we see the pencil higher up. That really does give depth to our drawing. So putting some light green lines in, slightly darker tone than the light blue itself, then the side of the tip of the pencil. I can see with this one we'll probably get some highlights on the left hand side, but for the hole, the big hole in the middle, the highlight will be on the right side between 7 minutes past and 7 o'clock, and a darker edge will be between 7 o'clock going back round to 7 minutes past. We might see a bit of that on the top as well. So a little bit of white going into these grain. You can suggest a grain is raised by adding a little touch of white to those growth rings. I say growth rings, I'm meaning growth lines. They're only rings when you see them on the end grain. Bad turn of phrase I've got there. Okay, so difference £1,000 to £1.50 tops. It's significant. It's versatile. It's easily broken. You can't get a replacement one. There's lots of advantages and disadvantages, but this could be the way things are going for this type of graphics, and it's certainly for me, practicing on the manual side means this is so much easier. There's that shadow going in for the pencil inside the hole. I think you can see there how it sets it back, and I see about a C-shaped or U-shaped end to that. You're not sure how these things would be affected by light. Stick a pencil, put a torch on it, and see what happens when you add a bit of shade. It's the best way of doing it. Try not to get second guess it. Try and look at it for real. Background going behind, literally behind, because you've got layers. And an application like this, you can maybe have over 100 layers. Not the sort of thing I want to do with a group of school children, because it's very easy to get lost from one layer to the other. Much easier to work maybe 1 or 2 layers, limit what they can do, but the idea of layers is certainly something advantage. What you saw there was a spray, an overspray on the next one, using an airbrush, and then using the eraser tool to get rid of the background. So rather than just doing a bounded area, there's no black line around this one, it is drawn on the edge of the drawing. So there's that like cream colour, slightly darker brown wood grain going on it. There's a piece of bent acrylic to go in there somewhere, so that's going to need an edge to it. There's a line going in to define that part. Remember the cream bit didn't have that. Defining those two edges, put a curve in, put some colour. What you can do is you can select an area. If it's bounded, mentioned this before, if it's not bounded you get colour leakage all over the shop. Highlights and shadows, highlights top and left, shadows right and under, with a slight shadow in the bottom of that acrylic, just starting to go in this now on the wood. There we go. Again, it's just a very subtle thing, but once you see it, you see what difference it makes. A lot of youngsters would look at that and not even see the shadow, but when you point it out to them, that's the thing that gives their drawing a little bit of lift. We'll fly through very quickly on the next 3 or 4. You can see some bad examples of colour getting chosen for some of these. Just because a piece of equipment does something, it doesn't mean you have to use it. And so often with computers, people just get all the buzzers and bells and lose the plot completely. There we go, just fire some colour in, add some shade and some highlights, background base to it. There's the end result. See what you think. It could be the future, it's expensive, but again, if you get a chance, have a go.